Just a quick reminder that this is a part 2. The first part is linked up above, so go check that out if you haven't watched this one first, but let's just get right into it. Hey y'all, welcome to, or welcome back to my channel, Scotty Cherie Reads. As I said, this is a part 2 video. It's all about books that I've bought that are popular books that are recommended from YouTube that I own but I have not read yet. And the goal of this is to get some of your input to see if the hype is actually worth it or if I should just get rid of these books at this point. There are some that I'm really interested in, but there are also ones that I'm kind of wavering on because it's been so long since I purchased them. So grab a drink, you can lounge out just like Luna, get comfortable, and we'll get right into the list. Oh, I did want to mention that for this part 2 video, the genres that we're going to go over today is romance, historical fiction, contemporary fiction, classics, and graphic novels. So let's jump right in with romance. I'm not really a romance girly. I've been starting to pick up some this month or this year and have found some that I really do like, but I have bought some because the hype, it gets real with Booktube because a lot of people like romance books. So let's jump into that category to see which books I've bought in this genre and see if you think they'll be a good fit for me. Okay, so we're gonna start with probably the ultimate romance book on Booktube, and that is Beach Read. So I have read other Emily Henry book before. I think I read Book Lovers, and I gave it like a 3-star. It was okay. I mean, I enjoyed my time when I read it, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Like, I don't remember it very much. However, this one has been suggested to me specifically, and this is Emily Henry's first novel, I believe. Quickly, I think everyone pretty much knows what this is about, but it's about Augustus and January, who are both authors. However, they write in very different categories. I think one writes romance and one is literary fiction. And I don't think that they really like each other. I don't know if it's like enemies to lovers or if it's just kind of like hate to love a bit. But they end up staying in this beach house for a few months, or beach houses that are next to each other for a few months when they're writing their next great novel. And obviously they start communicating and stuff and they fall in love. I think that there's a little like there are some heavy hitting topics in this book from what I understand, but obviously everyone and their mother has read Beach Read and everyone loves Emily Henry, just all universally she's so well loved. So I am interested to pick this one up and see how it compares. So let me know if you think I'll like this one or if there's another Emily Henry book that you think that I would like better. This is the only one that I own. I actually got rid of Book Lovers after I read it, so we'll see. I'm like, after reading Book Lovers, I kind of am like, I don't really care about reading it, but I do own it and it is a popular book that I bought because of people suggesting it on Booktube. Second up in this genre of romance is probably the only other book that I think in terms of popularity can rival Beach Read that we just talked about, and that is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is another Booktube darling, and this is the first of a 3-part book series. You can read them individually, but I think you're supposed to start with Part of Your World and then get into Yours Truly and then Just for the Summer. And what's funny is that I own all 3 of them, but I have not started this book yet. Like, that's how big the hype is. And I don't even read romance, so I don't know what got into me. I think it was just because they're book of the month picks and it was easy because I get that every month just to make it my pick for the month. But this one I am really interested in. I think that it's cool because it's an older woman or older couple that's in here. And I like that the main character is an ER doctor. And I think that it's mainly about her trying to figure out like if she's committed to her career and if she has space for this other guy because she's always just been so career focused and he kind of sweeps her off her feet and she doesn't really know what to do with it. That's all I really know. This is one that I do want to pick up, and I definitely bought it because of Booktube. Continuing on the romance genre, I am going to preface that I think for the last 2 I gave a decent synopsis of those books, but moving forward I'm not going to just because they're so hyped and popular that I don't think it's necessary, and also I have so many books here that this video would be so long. So moving to the next one I am very excited about, and that is Akwaeke Emezi's You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. If you're new to my channel, hello, welcome, but if you have even watched one video, you probably know that I love Akwaeke Emezi's writing and I'm going through their backlog currently. I'm really interested in this. I don't know a lot about it. I just know that it's romance, and the only romance I believe that Emezi has written so far, and this book, like all of their other books, is pretty controversial, so I'm curious to see where I fall on the spectrum, although I'm sure that I will probably love it because I haven't had a fail from Emezi quite yet. The next few that I have here are ones that I have on my Kindle. I don't have a physical copy, but I did buy them and interested to see if it's worth picking up. So the first one is The Kiss Quotient. This one's been around for quite a while, and all I know is that it has neurodivergent rep from the main character. That's a woman in this book, and I believe that she hires like a male escort to help her in terms of like understanding her sexuality and things like that. So I feel like that one's pretty interesting. However, when it first came out, I believe that like everyone loved it, but I have seen recently after several years of after buying this book that there are some people that are kind of like, it's just okay. So if you've read it, let me know how you feel about it currently down below. Another really popular one is Red, White, and Royal Blue. So this one took Booktube by storm a few years ago. It became a Netflix movie, I believe, and I just haven't read it. I honestly don't even know much about it. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's about two princes or something that fall in love. Obviously there's something about royalty, but I am intrigued in it because I feel like other people who are like me that have not read romance before said that they really liked this book. So I'm interested in that and I do own it. Let me know if you think it'll be a good fit for me. And lastly, I have Honey and Spice on my Kindle. I don't know anything about this except for it's a very popular Black romance, and I'm getting into Black romances quite a bit. I really like Natasha Bishop's Only for the Week that I read recently. I've gotten into Talia Hibbert stuff I'm really into. I really like Kennedy Ryan so far, so this is just another popular one that I've bought because people say that they're kind of similar and it's a good Black romance. All right, that's all I have for the romance section, so now let's go into historical fiction. Alrighty, moving into historical fiction. So a little bit about me in historical fiction. I tend to pick them up frequently because I know that when I read them, I generally really like them. However, when I do read a historical fiction, I generally take quite a while between finishing a current read of a historical fiction and picking up the next one, just because a lot of the times they're pretty heavy hitting. So I have quite a few here that I'm going to go over. I'm excited for mostly all of them, but it is kind of shocking that I've had some of these on my TBR list for as long as I have. So please help me pick between these and see which ones I need to pick up sooner rather than later. So to start, we have what I think, or what's talked about on Booktube as a queer classic, and that is The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay. I just know this is a story that takes place like a love story during the AIDS pandemic in the 1980s. Well, it says set in Chicago in 1984 and Paris in 2015. The Great Believers is a story of how love can both rescue and destroy us, a thriving, addictive novel full of characters whom the reader comes to know as friends, colleagues, and lovers. So I am interested in this. However, with pulling this one out now, I realized that I assume Rebecca is a woman and I assume that the main characters are male. So I've been kind of leaning more into reading Own Voices books. Obviously, this one is still really popular. So just let me know if you are a queer individual, queer male, or gay male. Let me know if this is actually worth it and that she does a good job. And if not, then what are some other suggestions from Own Voices authors that you would suggest over this one? Because this one is insanely hyped and well known. Next up, I actually have an author in general, and that is Colson Whitehead. And I am very embarrassed about the fact that I have not read any of his books. I have The Underground Railroad, which is old. I mean, this is one that I've had on my TBR list for a long time. This book came out, I guess it says 2016, but I've had this one for a while. This is obviously about the Underground Railroad, will be heavy hitting. And then The Nickel Boys is one that I picked up, even though I haven't read the first one. I tried to, like, if it's a first author, I tried to just only pick up one book before picking up a second, but this one had so much buzz around it that I had to pick it up, and I'm very eager to read it soon. It's The Nickel Boys, and this one is also about the Dozier School for Boys, which I have been really into this year and learned a lot about from when I started earlier this year with reading The Reformatory by Tanana Reeve Dew. So I'm very eager to pick this up and see how it compares. Okay, one that I picked up fairly recently, well, this year I would say, that I just could not escape from seeing this book everywhere because it was the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year for the previous year, and that is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. I haven't read any other James McBride. This is the first one that I've picked up, so I am eager to see how I feel about it. I think in December and January, when Barnes & Noble was pushing this book so hard, like literally everywhere I saw this book, the hype was so real. However, now that it's in the middle of the year, I have seen like mixed reviews or just like okay reviews. I feel like a lot of people are just like, it's fine. It's just not all it's cracked up to be. So I kind of just had it sitting there because I think the hype just kind of left, and then my interest for it has kind of dissipated a bit, but let me know if I'm wrong and the hype is actually really real about this one, or if there's another James McBride book that you think I should read, because obviously this author is well known and I haven't read anything by them yet. Another hype book on here, but I know it's going to be a very heavy read, and that's why it's kind of intimidating to pick up, is Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Johnson. Sadiqa Johnson, I believe, also wrote The House of Eve, which I don't own, but that one's also very hyped on Booktube. And I think it's just a slave narrative story, this one right here, The Yellow Wife. And that's it. So I just know that it's well written, but I also heard that it pulls you, like tugs at your heartstrings. So I'm interested in picking it up, but just haven't yet because I'm afraid for how sad it's going to be honest. And lastly, I probably have the most popular historical fiction book on Booktube that I have not read but own, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I haven't read a single Kristen Hanna book, and somehow, even though her books are so hyped, this is the only one that I physically bought because this is the one I'm the most interested in. And after reading this one, which I think I'm going to love because I love any World War II novel, and everyone says this is like the epitome of like World War II stories. After this, then I'll pick up other Christina Hanna books, but I need to really pick this one up when I know it. So I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. Probably same thing, historical fiction I just like to take my time with in between books, but this is one that I do know would probably be a good fit for me, and I'm excited to pick it up. All right, that's it for historical fiction. Let's move into contemporary fiction. Alrighty, so this genre is pretty funny because I have the least amount of books to talk about in this video, but it's because I tend to actually pick up and read the contemporary fiction, like / literary fiction books that I do buy. I don't have a lot of unread ones on my shelves because I do pick them up frequently. So I have a couple here that I'm gonna run through, and the first one is ridiculous because this author is super well known. That is Frederick Bachman, A Man Called Uwe, I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but this is a Booktube darling. I have read a couple of Frederick Bachman books. I'll put them on the screen here. I know I've read at least one, maybe two, but this is like the OG, and it's made into a book, or made into a movie with, I believe, like Tom Hanks is in it too. So I don't know what I'm doing because I love Tom Hanks. I don't know why I haven't picked this up yet. I really don't. There's no excuse, but I do want to read this one before getting into Beartown and other stories because I know that I'm going to love this author. I'm sure that I will. I just haven't read this OG quite yet. Next up, we have a Booktube darling and BookTok darling just all over the place, and that is Ottessa Moshfegh, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. So this is about like the crazy toxic girl or female character, like unhinged female character is this genre. And this is such an iconic book, but I just have not read it yet. I haven't read any of Ottessa Moshfegh. This is the only one that I own, but yeah, I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. Unhinged Women, that sounds like it'll be right up my alley. Next up is one of the older books that I have, but I'm still eager to read it, even though I don't hear anything about it anymore, just because everyone's probably already read it. And that is Room by Emma Donoghue. And I believe this is about like, it's kind of leans a little thriller-esque, where there's a woman a mother and her son, and I think that she's held captive, like they're held captive, but she's trying to like keep her son separate and not let him know that they are captives and not living a normal life. So that sounds really interesting. I know that there's a movie. It's just a little bit of an older title, so it's just been one that's been sitting on my shelves for quite a while. Yeah, this one came out in 2010. Yeah, let me know if the hype's actually real for this one, because I don't hear a lot about it anymore, but I know that it was really popular when it came out. And lastly, I have Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Americana. This is one, I read a lot of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's little small nonfiction books, and I really love those. But this is a fiction book that I bought that there was a lot of hype around that I have not read yet. So I don't even know what this is about. I know it's a Nigerian story, but other than that, that's all I know. Maybe a Nigerian comes to America, but I don't know anything else. This was just everywhere back when I started Booktube, and yeah, I own it. So I think it'll be a good one. Don't know much about it. Let me know if you think it'll be a good fit for me and if it's worth the hype. So that's all I have for contemporary fiction / literary fiction that I own, that were hyped, I bought from Booktube that I haven't read yet. So let's move into classics, and I have quite a few for these. Let's get into it. Okay, getting into classics, I'm really surprised that I haven't read this author specifically from high school at all. I didn't read any George Orwell. So I haven't read 1984 or Animal Farm, and I know that this is one that a lot of people talk about on Booktube specifically because they're very short and books that are still relevant to our day today, and people find that really cool and interesting. So these are some that I really want to read. I don't know why I haven't, but yeah, the hype is real with these. A lot of people say that they like these, even people who don't read a lot of classics. All right, the next two are the ones I'm most embarrassed about because I am a horror fan. Right now, going through Stephen King in publication order, like I'm just a horror girly in terms of books, but I haven't read the originals. I haven't read Dracula, and I also haven't read Frankenstein. So I'm hoping this October I will finally pick one of these two up, if not both of them, because at this point, there's so many novels that I probably have read already that are inspired from these, and I know that I'm probably going to like them. Like, people say good things about both of these books, so I don't know why I haven't picked them up yet. Maybe leave a comment down below if you've read either of these. Which one do you think I should start with? If I should start with Frankenstein or Dracula, if I only get around to one this year during the holiday season or the spooky season. So yeah, I'm just embarrassed. It's time. I need to pick them up. I've had them. It's also one that people say they really, really love, and they're great books. So help a girl out, and which one should I start with between these two? Another obvious classic that inspires a lot of stories that I have not read or somehow watched the adaptation. So don't give any spoilers. A lot of people try to do that because they assume everyone's read this book, but I actually don't know anything about this story, to be honest, and I don't know how I haven't been spoiled for Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I haven't read a Jane Austen at all. This is one that I need to get to soon because, like I said, I don't know how I'm 30 and I can't tell you anything about this story aside from there's a character named Mr. Darcy. That's it. Like, honestly, I don't know anything about this. So before it gets ruined for me, I need to pick it up. I hear that people really love Jane Austen, and Jane Austen's writing is pretty funny or humorous in certain regards, but it's just curious to me that it seems pretty dull from like the little bit that I know or like the little bit I've seen for adaptations and stuff. It doesn't seem like it would be a thing for me. However, this is universally loved. I feel like there are people who don't like classics, that don't like romance or relationship or character-driven stories, but so many different people from different walks of life love this book. So I need to see where I land on it and pick it up at some point. Okay, and this classic is one that I feel like, in terms of the people that I watch on Booktube, they love this book the most and it's most universally loved, and that is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I know that this one's kind of horror-esque, so it's another one that I'm kind of embarrassed that I haven't read. Probably because it's a thick book, but everyone that's read this book has loved it. Like, I literally don't know a single person that has read this book that has a negative thing to say about it, to be honest. So I picked it up for that reason. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So yeah, let me know if you think I'll like it. I'm sure that I probably will. I just need to actually read it. And lastly, we have more of a modern classic, but I'm really surprised that I haven't read it, especially because the TV series is out. I haven't watched it yet. I've been saving it so I can read the book first, but I just haven't done it yet. So I haven't read the book or watched the TV series, and that is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. So like I said, the TV series, a lot of people loved. It's been out for years now. I think there's multiple seasons, and I bought this book because everyone was watching it. Everyone was reading the book at that time, and it's now 2024, the middle of 2024, and I still haven't read it yet. So yeah, I just know that this is a really interesting feminist-related book, and I'm sure that I'll love it. I just have not gotten around to it for some reason. It's just been sitting on my shelves. So I'm sure I'll get to it at some point. I think it'll be one that I really enjoy, and the hype is real for it. It definitely was. Just let me know if the TV show has gotten worse or better. So I know what my expectations are after reading this. But yeah, that's The Handmaid's Tale. All right, and we're gonna jump into the last category, which is graphic novels. All right, the last genre we have here is graphic novels, and this one will be fairly quick because a lot of the graphic novels that I buy, I do read them right away. I don't know if that's just because the price point for graphic novels are a lot more expensive, or if they're easier to get through because they are graphic novels instead of being just full-on novels, but this is a genre that I really like, and I'm always looking for recommendations for graphic novels. So in general, if you have graphic novels that you know I haven't read and you think that I should pick up, definitely let me know in the comment section. But to start, I have a big name that I am embarrassed that I have not really picked up, and that is Alan Moore. So obviously there's a lot of bangers here. We have V for Vendetta, which I do love this movie. I just have not picked up this graphic novel yet. There's Watchmen, which I think that I watched the movie once, but I don't remember a lot about it, and I'm trying to keep it that way. So I want to read this and then watch the adaptation because I hear both are really exceptional. They're really, really good. A lot of people say that like Watchmen is like their favorite graphic novel. So this is one that I want to pick up. And then From Hell is a chunky ass book, but it's about Jack the Ripper, I believe. So I'm very eager to pick these up. So with Alan Moore, who is a graphic novel darling, obviously, between these three, which one should I start with? I mean, I own them all. I don't know where to start. I would like to start sometime soon. So if you are a graphic novel fan and you've read all three of these, let me know which one I should start with. Next up, we have Death Note. So a lot of people have read this and loved it. I haven't read a lot of manga at all, so this is one that I've picked up that a lot of people said is a good intro to manga, and it's a good story in general. And the adaptation the anime is interesting as well. So I actually own the first three of the Black edition. I think that this edition just stuck out to me as well, and why I bought it, because I love the way these look together. So I have the first three. Don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. Push me in the comments to pick this up finally. Okay, and the last one I have here is They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. And this one is about, I believe it's the Vietnam War. I'll put it here if I'm wrong, but I know it's a war story that's told from the perspective of a child. And I know Ashley from Bookish Realm, who talks about graphic novels a lot, really suggests this one, and a lot of other people on Booktube have suggested this one as a really cool graphic novel. I like to read graphic novels that are like memoirs from people, and I believe this one is that, kind of like Persepolis and Mouse and things like that. So I'm eager to pick this one up, and I know that Booktube loves this graphic novel, so I don't know why I haven't read it. It's sitting on my shelves. I don't know how many times I can say that throughout this video, so I'm gonna stop now. All right, that's it for this video. As stated plenty of times, let me know in the comments from this one and the previous video, part 1, so I can start prioritizing which books are still worth the hype and which ones I should prioritize. As I mentioned in the previous video, I also want to do a vlog series for these based off of your suggestions below. So I'm thinking about doing like a week-long vlog of reading, you know, from one genre, whether it's fantasy or horror or whatever you guys kind of give me feedback that you want to see. But I'm eager to get that series started and eager to see what y'all have to say in the comments below. As always, if you want to help a girl out and you like what you see here, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, and I would really, really appreciate it. Other than that, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.